Well, here we are again, and this time we are going back to the year 2000, Mansfield, Massachusetts, September 11th, actually, the year before the big event of September 11th, 2001. Now, there was nothing in this show that would lead me to believe the band had anything to do with the events that would take place a year later in Washington, D.C., in New York City, Pennsylvania. And this show started out with Roadrunner. And the opening notes to this show, a song I wasn't really familiar with, I believe the band was called the Modern Lovers. This album came out in 1975. It had, the very opening notes had a little bit of a Grateful Dead feel to it. Something along the lines of like a Bertha or something like that. And then Moma Dance in a very familiar spot in the number 2 song of the night. Even all the way back then, Moma Dance doing its thing there. Then the most of the first set was kind of ho-hum. Nothing bad. Rift, Brian and Robert. The show notes said that they had a sign language lady came up on stage for Brian and Robert. Vultures, which is pretty rare now. They followed that up. And the Vultures was one of my favorites of the first set. And then it started to heat up a little bit after Horn and Beauty of My Dreams with Yamar. Yamar had a little bit of an improv jam there. Mostly stayed type 1, and so did Stash, which ended the first set. Got a little clapping action from the crowd in the Yamar jam, which I guess that Trey was like, well, if you guys want to clap, let's play Stash. And they were not done with the clapping. We got more of that in the vocal jam for YEM. I know this was an unusual crowd in Mansfield, Massachusetts back in 2000. They for the most part, they quieted down, did their job for What's the Use, but the clapping during the Yamar jam and the vocal jam in YEM, a little strange. So set 2 starts out with a chalk dust that's just pretty much straight ahead. It's a rocker through and through. Stays type 1. Twist had a little bit of a build to it. And then Piper, however, no slow build to Piper. Piper just takes off. 0 to 160. And then, at midway through the jam, it started to slow down a little bit. Mike and Fishman kind of took over there. And then as it slowed down enough, it eventually went into What's the Use. Sorry, I've been holding off that cough for 2 minutes. That's pretty good. All right. So then, like I said, the crowd did their job and What's the Use? That's the important part for me. It's a nice song, but if you get to the pause and the What's the Use and the crowd goes wild, doesn't quite fit. And then you got You Enjoy Myself ending it. A very nice You Enjoy Myself. Kind of ran through it, though. Trey's solo, not going anywhere too deep. Mike getting in there a little bit. And then, like I said, the crowd clapping to the vocal jam. And then we get the Good Times, Bad Times encore. So really, the first set, mostly you can roll through the first set. You want to stop at Yamar and Stash, though, for sure. Although Vultures, while we don't get a lot of Vultures now, it was worth a listen. Moment Dance wasn't bad. Nothing was bad, really. If you're interested in that opener, Roadrunner, okay. But really, the second set was where it was at. Only 5 songs, all pretty much 5 stars, basically. Only a couple of them got the jam chart. You can also check this out on the Re-Listen app, Phish.in, and even if you're on .net and you're actually at the show, go below the set list, and then you'll get down in between the set list and all the comments and reviews, there's a link, and it'll take you right to the show. Almost every show has one. And, we're back into the year 2000. There's not a lot going on between now and Mexico, so I'll just randomly pick shows a couple of days a week. I can't do a show a day, it's rough. Sneaking in a 2 or 3 hour show when, I don't know. It's not live. It's just not the same. As you can see, no whiteboard. Well, you can see a whiteboard, but... All right, guys. So, boom. I guess we're out of here. No cats today. That's it. All right. It was a good show. I don't know. It just doesn't have the same feel to it, though, I'm glad I listened to this. If you get a chance, go back and check out some of it. At least the second set. Doesn't sound great. It's not the greatest quality. In fact, if you're going to listen to the audience recordings, you almost need to go back to the early 90s before the crowds and the size of the venues really blew up. All right. Boom. We are out of here officially this time. I feel like I had something else to say, but... It's getting cold again. I'm sure where you're at, it's probably also cold. I thought we were through this. Back down to 10 degrees tonight. Like 7 tomorrow. I don't know. I've about had enough. Starting to get a little cabin fever here, As much as I despise yard work, I like to get out there and do some yard work. Like half of our tree, it sounded like, fell on our roof the other night. It wasn't that bad. It was actually just a decent-sized limb. But it appears when the limb broke and then fell and hit the roof, it just shattered into a bunch of pieces. I don't know. I got to get up there and do something about that. Guys, boom, we're out of here. In case you were concerned, about my roof situation.